Step into analysis, please.
Westworld Season 2 is coming to an end, so before we get to the trailer breakdown, I want us to just enjoy the time before. Sunday night, we'll probably watch what we describe as a masterpiece, and we'll weep or rejoice. From all early reporting, it looks like it's going to be another 2 years before we get to enjoy this again. Theories will become spoilers, theories will be proven wrong, and at the end of the day, this entire thing was just for fun. A great conversation between us, an endless thought experiment that promotes titillating internal conflicts about how everything fits together in a show about robots. Right now, all theories are in this superposition of actuality, a Schrodinger's cat of Westworld theory crafting. After this episode, everyone who thought one way or the other will either exist as right or wrong, and some individuals will allow a prideful toxicity to consume them. So I want to combat this issue to help the community, not just this channel, but all reviewers, Reddit posters, and workplace conversationalists. I don't want you to attack each other no matter what side of the theory you land, because even if you guessed correctly, no one knows, and that is the beauty of it. We can either be this beautiful community that slowly chip away at concepts with opposing thoughts from all around the world until we find common ground, or we can attack each other and make those that were wrong not want to keep doing this. It's about the conversational wonder of what could be. So just enjoy this time right now. Enjoy the possibility before the answers are revealed and we have more questions than we know what to do with for next season. But without further ado, let's overthink an HBO show about robots as I present my interpretation of the season finale trailer. Oh my god, what a trailer. So for this breakdown, I want to cover some of the more interesting things. So if I do skip anything that you want talked about, post them in the comments below and we can address them there. So first, a story of satellites and the importance of them. On the wall, when you see Arnold showing Dolores his home in the real world, the sign here states Space 47. Well, Arnold developed 47 original hosts. William is categorized as 47B. It's unclear the link between everything, but these numbers are important. Satellite communication is how this entire series of events started. The host Maurice trying to get the data out of the park via satellite uplink with a laser-based embedded system into his body. At the time, it made sense that he would need to get to a higher point on the map to transmit the data, but it's later revealed that Charlotte has a SATCOM in her office. Most commonly, this means satellite communications device, and if it's anything other, I'll be pretty shocked. If you recall, this is what Stubbs and Bernard were going to go for before they're stopped by Strand. So logically, from the Mesa, she is now able to communicate, to transmit data out of the park. So why would they not send the data through this channel? I'm not exactly sure, but the next satellite reference comes when Strand says phased array. This is another one of those times when the show creators will drop a word a single time and they'll never say it again until it's relevant and make it seem that it's not that important. Think about how we were introduced to the cradle, for instance. So satellite communication has been this dominant thing, and with the idea of Space 47, maybe this is the company that Arnold founded before the park, explaining his line about him being fortunate enough to afford this place. Before he and his best friend Ford started this adventure, he worked in aerospace. If this is true, perhaps this is something that Delos obtained or already had, or is entirely irrelevant to Arnold. It doesn't really matter. So satellites are important, but why? Well, this image from the trailer shows a projecting laser thing, and because right before it shows this image here, I think they want us to correlate the two. But then I remembered the satellite and the phased array. So maybe this here is a laser phased array that they will use to talk to the satellite. Then because this was originally Strand's order, perhaps they find the package and transmit it out of the park after all. Interesting concept. My personal thought rests on keep satellites in your mind while watching the finale. If the forged data is going to be used as a weapon, it needs to be out of the park. And like I talked about in my previous video, if the forge has some malicious AI, as crazy as that would be alongside with it, what an insane thing it would be to see Dolores or even Delos getting this data out via satellite, and it takes over the Delos systems, allowing them full access to all resources that allowed the Delos employees to be so trained and skilled before they ever come to the park. This person knew how to extract and troubleshoot a chestnut. This person knew how to hack into the mesh network and make a detection system for their vests. I'm not implying that these people never trained in the park, but something has always felt off about how much these characters knew. I propose that outside integrations must have taken place. To what extent, I'm unsure, but putting Dolores in a position of shutting down the outside facility would allow her not to be chased by Delos after their escape, which Ford would likely want to ensure. And the other reason I don't believe this is the virtual wall projector is the wires in the back. If this has existed for the purpose of displaying the virtual walls around the park, these would be a more permanent structure, instead of looking like they were just set up. Ah yes, so let's talk about the rip in the sky. Well, I think it's pretty obvious.
Wait, what does that actually say? Is that a fourth wall joke? Oh my god, like I'm doing it right now. Oh my god, you're so lame.
So I posted on Twitter, oh my god, it's a dome. And this was by far the most viral tweet I've ever had, but oddly enough, I don't know if I truly believe it. It's entirely possible it is a dome. In my last video, I proposed the dome idea is still not completely ruled out, citing the misplaced sun as perhaps the show creators trying to tell us something. The airdrops still need to be explained, but that's an easy job for any writer. Oh, the top allows things to go in and out, and boom, it's solved. Next, we come to the water flooding from the ground briefly, and the water from this internal look of what we believe is the forge. It's probably the forge, and like I discussed when we first see Akichita looking at the development process of this door as he described it, a good number of water towers exist, so this is likely being used as coolant, like the cradle was cooled, only much, much bigger. Though something still doesn't add up. If you take all of this space and fill it with servers and water for cooling and nothing else, just say it's only that, well, how does it flood this entire area? All of this water is assumingly still there, just underground. Even if this entire area was filled with water, if the roof broke on it and it revealed a giant water cooling system underneath, you may see some water rush out, but the majority of this water would still be in the hole. My guess is they perhaps pump water, maybe even seawater, in for whatever reason. From the liquid cooling perspective, it makes sense to keep circulating the liquid. But I don't know, something is off, and I'm guessing the way in which William tries to destroy this place causes perhaps a system failsafe, and it starts pumping more and more water so it can try to reduce the temperature, but it actually just floods the place and then it doesn't stop until another action occurs. Lastly, but certainly not least, we come to the multiple images showing them inside of the forge and seeing all the humans in this virtual environment. Super cool. I'm still hoping that outside of this, there's 1,000 James Delos pods actively going on trying to pass fidelity, but if we don't see that, this is still equally cool. Since the beginning, I've been swearing something is off with this beach scene, and how perhaps Delos was interrogating Bernard and viewing his memories to get information about the whereabouts of the hosts or where the data went. This was early in the season, and hey, the forge hasn't been blown up on screen yet, so it may still exist in the later timeline, so Delos could in fact use it to understand what happens. However, the competence level of Delos I may have overshot. I'm not going to elaborate much further, but consider, instead of Delos using this system to source information to predict what could happen, what if it was Ford this entire time? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we wrap up this video. So post your last minute predictions about William being a host, about what the door is, about the forge and the cradle in this entire season, because after this, we'll know all the answers, or at least most of the answers, and the conversation will change entirely. So enjoy it while it lasts. Special thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and as a subscriber, specifically John Levin, Robert Holtz, Chris Cole, Sammy Barras, Vanessa Cano, Greg Purnell, Michael Linck, Hank S., and Sandra Westerberg. I couldn't do any of this without you guys, and I'm so grateful to have experienced this with you. Much love, everybody, and I hope to talk to you again soon.